Good morning, students. I welcome you to this class, Basic Science. Today, we're going to be considering acid, base, and salt. I hope your holiday has been wonderful. So, we're looking at acid, base, and salt. Firstly, I believe that some of us have seen an acid before. We've seen an acid in our lemon juice, in our vine jar. We've seen citric acid in our citrus. Some of us have also touched, bases before, and we have also seen salt. But now let's see, what is an acid? What is an acid? An acid is defined as a substance that releases hydrogen ion when dissolved in water. So any substance that is capable of producing hydrogen ion as the only positive ion, whenever it is dissolved in water, is referred to as an acid. Now, what are the properties of an acid? How do we identify an acid? Number one, they have a salt taste. They have a salt taste. Number two, they have the ability to turn blue litmus paper red. Actually, a litmus paper is a paper that you use in determining if a substance is acid or if it is basic, if it is acidic or if it is basic. So when you have a blue litmus paper and you dampen it, you put it in a moist, you wet it with water, and you now dip it in an acidic solution, or you expose it to an acidic gas, that blue litmus paper is going to turn to red. So that tells us that that substance is an acid. Also, another property of acid is that it has the ability to react with metals to produce hydrogen gas. What this means is that when acids react with metals, hydrogen gas is liberated. Hydrogen gas is liberated. And I think that corroborates the definition that an acid is a substance that produces hydrogen ion when dissolved in water. So also now when they react with metals, they liberate hydrogen gas. Now, what are the common examples of acids? Just as I have said, they are present in most of the fruits that we take at home. An example is the lemon juice. The lemon juice is an acid. The vine jar contains acid. So the vine jar is a diluted acetic acid solution, and it is used as a food preservative. That's one of the uses of acid. Now, vine jar being an acid is used in preserving food. Also, sulfuric acid is widely used in batteries. Sulfuric acid is a major component of the batteries. The wet cells that we see, we use in running our cars and also in supplying electricity at home. Also, nitric acid and sulfuric acid are used in the industrial production of explosives, dyes, fertilizers, and paints. Most of the fertilizers that you use on the farm, they are also products of acids. They are products of acids like HNO3, that's nitric acid, like sulfuric acid, which is H2SO4. Alright? And they are also used in production of explosives like bombs, and also dyes, the dyes that we use as a coloring agent for our clothes, and also paints, azo dyes. There are different types of dyes. Azo dyes, they are basic dyes that are used in production of paints and dyes. All right. Now, phosphoric acid is another example of common acid, which is the main constituent in the soft drink that we take, especially the cola drinks, and it is used to impart tartness. That is, instead it is used in discoloring, and also to reduce growth of bacteria and to improve shelf life. It is used to reduce growth of bacteria and also to improve shelf life. So that's that for acid. And mind you, one important thing is that we have organic acids and we have inorganic acids. We have organic acids and inorganic acids. The inorganic acids are the examples that I've mentioned, the vinegar and the lemon juice. You know, you have your citric acid, you have your lactic acid in milk. Your citric acid is in citrus or your orange. You have your vinegar also and your acetic acid. All right. So we have inorganic acids. These inorganic acids, they are strong acids. An example is your H2SO4 that we have mentioned, your nitric acid that we have mentioned, also your phosphoric acid. You know, they are inorganic because they don't have carbon. That's why they're inorganic. All right, let's look at bases. Where acid is producing hydrogen ion as the positive ion in water, bases are producing hydroxide ions, that's OH minus. Yes, as their negative ion in water. So any substance that you dissolve in water and releases hydroxide ion is referred to as a base. What are the properties of bases? They have bitter tastes. They have bitter taste. They have a slippery feel. When you feel them in your hand, they are slippery. They are slippery. Also, they have the ability to turn red litmus paper blue. When you have a moist litmus paper, that is a litmus paper that you have moistened with water, when you now dip it inside your base, it will turn the red litmus paper to blue color. So that's one of the property of bases. And just as I've said that these bases are common. We can find them in the kitchen as baking soda. We can find them also as soap. We can find them as basic soda. We can also find them as soap. All right. What are the examples of bases and their uses? We have sodium hydroxide. Just as I've said, for your sodium hydroxide is used in the manufacture of soap. That's NaOH. You have your calcium hydroxide, CaOH, is used in whitewashing buildings. And also your magnesium hydroxide is also used as a medicine for stomach disorder. You know, some of us we take Mistmag whenever we have stomach trouble or whenever we have stomach disruption. You know, that Mistmag consists of magnesium hydroxide, which is used as a medicine for stomach disorder. We also have ammonium hydroxide, NH4OH, which is used to remove grease stains from clothes. That's an example of a base that is used to remove grease stains from bases. All right. Now, let's look at salt. Salts are compounds that are formed from the reaction between an acid and a base. When you now have a reaction of an acid, that's a substance that produces hydrogen ion as the only positive ion, and a base, which is a substance that produces hydroxide ion as the only negative ion. When you have these two substances coming together, the product formed is referred to as an acid. And that process is referred to as a neutralization reaction. When an acid and a base react to produce salt and water, that process is referred to as a neutralization reaction, or that reaction is referred to as a neutralization reaction. Can someone mention an example of an acid now? Can we have an example of an acid? Take for instance, you have your HCl, hydrogen chloride, which is an inorganic acid, reacts with a base. Can someone tell us an example of a base? Let's say sodium hydroxide. NaOH. So when HCl and sodium hydroxide react together, they must form salt and water. So when HCl and NaOH reacts together, what will be formed? What will be the product formed? You are going to have NaCl plus H2O. That is sodium chloride, which is the normal common salt, the table salt that we use at home for cooking, and water will be formed. So HCl plus sodium hydroxide, which is NaOH, will give you sodium chloride plus H2O, that which is salt and water. Your sodium chloride is salt and H2O is water. So just as I have said, salts are compounds that are formed from the reaction between an acid and a base, and salts are formed through neutralization reactions. Examples of common salts are the NaCl that I've just mentioned now. Also Epsom salts. Some of us we use Epsom salt in bathing. That's magnesium sulfate. We use magnesium sulfate in bathing, and it is very, very interesting. You should ask yourself, why Epsom salt? Of what advantage is magnesium sulfate, MgSO4? You know, when you use Epsom salt to bath, it helps in easing pain and to relieve inflammation. It helps in easing pain and to relieve inflammation. Some of you, when you have cuts, you are advised to use an Epsom salt. You can use it to wash the surface, and before you know it, that cut is going to be healed, and it will also help you to reduce soreness. Other examples of common salts are the potassium chloride, calcium chloride, copper sulfate, and the rest. The uses: sodium chloride, as I've said, is a common salt that can be found in the kitchen, and it can be used in seasoning and preserving food. You can use this to cook, you can use it to preserve your food. Monosodium glutamate. Some of us are conversant with this one, before it is being used under the trade name Verdan. Say Moferamagi Verdan. So sodium glutamate is a type of salt used to make savory food. It's used to make food savory and also enhance its flavor. We also have sodium nitrate, which is used in manufacturing explosives and fertilizers. Sodium nitrate, NaNO3, is also used in manufacturing explosives and fertilizers. Before we close the class, let's quickly say something about pH. The pH is talking about the acidity or the basicity of a substance. In other words, pH can be defined as a measure of acidity or alkalinity. pH is a measure of acidity or alkalinity. The pH has a scale. There is something I will call the pH scale. The pH scale ranges from 0 to 14. From 0 to 14. So 7 is the neutral point on the pH scale. 7 is the neutral point on the pH scale. So any substance that has a pH value from 0 to 7, between 0 to 7, that is below 7, is referred to as acidic. An acid will have a pH value that is between 0 and 7. Below 7, anything 7 downwards is acidic. Anything that is 7, any substance that has a pH of 7, exactly 7, is neutral. While any substance that has a pH value that is above 7, that is between 7 and 14, is referred to as basic. So I've said that pH is a measure of acidity and alkalinity. So your litmus paper also is a measure of acidity and alkalinity. even though it cannot determine how strong the acid or the base is, but at least your litmus paper, either your red litmus paper or your blue litmus paper, tells you that the substance is acidic or basic when you dip the wet litmus paper inside the substance, or when you expose the wet litmus paper to the gas that is involved. You can have an acidic gas or a basic gas. Lastly, we have other substances that are used to test the alkalinity or acidity of substances. We have solutions like phenolphthalein, methyl orange, and methyl blue. We even have methyl red. We have methyl red. So when you put maybe a drop of your substance of the solution, when you put a drop of your methyl orange, which is your indicator in solution, and you drop it to the substance, there is a color change. The color change tells you that, oh, this substance is an acid or this substance is a base. For your assignments, I want you to identify additional examples of acids, bases, and salts that are around you, which are used in everyday life. I want you to identify and list additional examples of acids, bases, and salts in everyday life. Thank you. God bless you. Have a wonderful holiday.